Hi, I'm Terrell Turner, the host of the Business Talk Library, and today I have another special guest on. And as you're going to find out, she is very well accomplished and involved in a lot of great things and mentoring and helping other entrepreneurs as well as running her own business. And she is an alumni of the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses. So welcome to the show, Karen.
Thank you, Terrell. Thank you for having me.
Now, Karen, you have such a wide background of so many different things in the community as well as entrepreneurial. So tell us a little bit about kind of your professional background.
I'll say it this way. I had no plans of being an entrepreneur. I was in corporate America, started out in banking before I even graduated college. I worked for what is now Bank of America. It was another small bank back then for 12 years. And they wanted me to move to Charlotte after 12 years. And I just had a baby. It was like, no, thank you. So I moved over to a mortgage banking company and in 19, oh my gosh, I'm going to date myself, in 1996, and loved that job. It was a cross between being in business for yourself and actually working for a business. So I started out in operations and then I moved over to sales. So I think that was the preparation that I needed. So after 23 years of being in banking and mortgage banking, I got laid off. I got laid off in 2007, right before the fall of the financial crisis. Well, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I had no clue. The market had started kind of tanking. So as far as being in a position to have a position similar to mine was not an option locally. So somehow, I'm not going to say somehow, by grace of God, I got led to opening up my own business. And I was blessed because my nephew, who he and I had talked of maybe 8 months prior about doing something together, I reached out to him to say, hey, look, I know we talked about it, so I'm going to let you know I'm going to go out and open up my own business. He said, well, Auntie, I'd rather have you as my business partner than my competition. So none other than a mortgage company in 2007. So when we opened up that mortgage company, we did well for the first 6 months, so well that we opened up a second office in Charleston in June. And then, of course, began the unraveling. So we closed the office in Charleston that following December and tried to focus on the business, but the market had already started tanking. And by 2008, we knew, we had to close it. But what happened was I got a call from a nonprofit that was looking for somebody with my background. I'm a certified mortgage banker, and they were looking for somebody to help them fight foreclosure in the state of South Carolina. So I actually opened up KRJ Consulting to be a provider for them because they wanted me, but they didn't want the mortgage company because that was part of the problem, other mortgage companies. So I actually opened up this company to be a service provider. So from April of '08 to December of '08, we saved about 148 homes locally.
Wow.
Could have done a little more than that, but everybody didn't turn their paperwork in on time. So that led me into consulting for them, consulting for some of their funders. And it was good. I loved working with nonprofits. I loved working with people. I loved working and helping people. And somehow I recognized, I started working as a adjunct professor in 2009. So I realized, oh gosh, this education thing, this training thing, I love it. And I went to the Small Business Development Center. So Small Business Development Centers are hidden gem for a lot of people. They're located all across the country, normally within a college or in a college area, but they provide no cost assistance, no cost consulting to small businesses. So I got connected with them and talked about rebranding. And in doing that rebranding process, realized, okay, what is it that I want this company to do? Definitely don't want to do mortgages anymore. So with 23 years of my 23 years, 22 was in a supervisor and managerial capacity. So I said, well, let's leverage that. So it was consulting, it was training and development. And that's the birth of where I am now, going from service provider for foreclosure counseling to now doing more consulting, training, and development. And here we are. We celebrated our 12th year anniversary in April.
Oh, congratulations for that.
Thank
Now,
you.
one of the things that I'm always curious about is, everyone, I think every entrepreneur that I've talked to, well, let me say, people that think they want to be an entrepreneur believe that, you start here and there's just a straight line from where you go. But every entrepreneur tells me like the line went a little bit like this and you end up at some destination. So what did it feel like as you were kind of navigating, say, the unknown?
Oh my gosh. So the unknown was real for me because I was that person that needed to know where I was going, when I was going, how I was going to get there, and what mode transportation would be. It doesn't work that way in this world. So, I share with people there's a thing called reacting and then responding. Reacting means that you're at the mercy of whatever's happening and you just have to react to it. Responding means you put some kind of plan in place and now you're in a better position to make good decisions. There's a book called The Entrepreneurship Roller Coaster written by Darren Hardy. If you're thinking about going into entrepreneurship, I thoroughly recommend that book because it talks about the highs and the lows. It talks about, the challenges that you have. In entrepreneurship, when I was in corporate America, I didn't have to worry about anything. I got up in the morning, I went to work, the paycheck was in the mail, okay? This environment, if you don't hunt and I don't say hunt and catch, right? Because you can hunt all day long, come home with nothing. But if you don't hunt and catch, you don't eat. And there have been times when on this entrepreneurship roller coaster that I've been like, oh my gosh, what? Okay, really? But by grace of God, there's always the prayer was always answered, and it was always answered just in time. And I think a lot of that had to do with my preparation and being hungry for knowledge and wanting to learn and position myself to be ready for the opportunity when it came. And mine was even more of a up and down because we opened up in '08. I got into government contracting in 2013 is when I got certified and started doing some training for the Department of Transportation for their DBE program. And then I got into government contracting on the federal side and things started looking up. Got a contract here, got a contract there. Well, that's all fine and good because that's a whole nother learning process, totally different from everything else that I had ever done. And then in 2015, we were headed, our revenue was going up. In 2015, my father got sick. Now, when daddy gets sick and I'm his primary caregiver, some things have to give way. And it was the business. Now, granted, I had stuff that I was still doing, but he became priority. We lost 70% of our revenue that year.
Wow.
And at the time, I didn't care because I'm taking care of daddy. So from, September to December, it was up and down with him and up and out of the hospital. He came home hospice in December. January of 16, he passed. So broke my heart, but he was 86 when he passed, had lived a nice, wonderful, fulfilled life. And shortly after that, I started coming back out, right? Building the business again, trying to get back on track. Well, I got kicked again. My son, same year, June, graduated from high school on June 1st, had a ruptured brain aneurysm on June 1st.
Wow.
So, everything shut down at that point. But I had a business. I had people that were on my payroll. I had things that I still had to take care of. I think we had just landed a contract that March, I believe. So it wasn't a huge contract, but it was still something that I had to work on. And there were some other things that I had in play I was trying to figure out. So I had my computer, in his ICU room. I'm sitting there watching him, taking care of him. I did a little bit of work, but I had to take care of him first. So he was in the hospital for 37 days. We came home for 2 days, and then we moved to Atlanta for 2 months because his rehab was at the Shepherd Center in Atlanta. Again, while he was in rehab, I'm on the computer, sending out proposals, trying to do stuff. But again, God will make a way because while I was going through all that and being responsive, I got 2 new contracts. And then I had support here in Columbia that allowed me to still stay in Atlanta with my family and have the contracts work out. So we grew, we actually, from being faithful, from studying, from staying on point. Remember I said we lost 70% in 15 and even more in 16. We quadrupled our revenue by 17. So when you look at what's going on right now, one of the things that I share with people is this too shall pass, right? There have been crises that I have faced. I have faced all the regular ones with everybody else, the flood that we had here locally, the financial crisis. I've gotten laid off. I've had 2 critical family issues, but this too shall pass. My favorite quote is by Aristotle, and it says that in our darkest moments, we must focus on the light. And when we focus on the light, we get more light. When we focus on the darkness, we get more darkness. I didn't have time to focus on darkness. I claimed my son's victory the night that he went into the hospital and when he went through all his brain surgeries. So I just tell people this is a fun, exhilarating, challenging, scary, thrilling, all of those and above ride. But I promise you, if you do it right, it's so worth it. It is so worth it.
Awesome. And now, speaking of what you talked about with the learning aspect, what are some of the things that that you were doing to make sure you were still learning as you were navigating that journey?
Well, remember I told you earlier that I got to know when, how, where, what flavor, and all that other good stuff. So to satisfy that appetite, I do a lot of reading. My reading comes in, you see all back here, right? So I look at all kind of books. So one of my lessons recently, well, not recently, let's say, so I went from 2008 to 2008 to maybe 2017. So that's when we quadrupled, right? Our revenue. Well, the skill set that I had that took me from here to here was fun. It was great. I love that skill set. And I would share whatever I knew with any other entrepreneur that wanted to know it. But what I realized is that the skill set that I had gained to take me from here to here was not the skill set that was going to take me from here to here. I had to get a whole new skill set because now we're talking about scaling. When you're running a business, I was able to take it solo in my operations from here to here. If I want to go any further, I have to grow my business. I can't do it I can't go beyond my cable toe. I can't go beyond my capacity. So now I have to figure out how to, actually last year in April, I read 4 books in a month. I have never done that, but I was hungry for information. Okay, how do you do this? How do you do this scale thing? How does this thing work? And the books that I read were awesome and they helped me. I went through the Emerging Leader Program. The one that we did was based in Charlotte. That was a 7-month program, phenomenal, right? And they give you, by the time we went through that program and finished, we had a full growth plan to help me figure out what it is I needed to do to grow the business. And then I was blessed to be accepted into the 10,000 Small Business Program. That's another blessing. But leveraging the Small Business Development Center. Our Department of Transportation offers trainings for small businesses. Our local city and county offer different trainings for people. And now I do some of the trainings for them. When I first started leveraging, and I still leverage the Small Business Development Center, and most of these things at no cost.
Wow.
You're going to have people call you and say, hey, do but if you can get it at no cost, that's the best return on your investment you can find.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Now, so speaking of the trainings that you do, let's talk a little bit about the services that you offer in your business.
So we have 2 divisions. One is our federal side, or federal division, where we do federal contracting for the government. So the government puts out, hey, we have a need for X. And ours is more in providing them with subject matter experts to go and work on their site. On the corporate side, or the what I call business to consumer or business to business side, we offer leadership training. We offer staff training, consulting, coaching. We just launched a program called the Crisis to Confidence series, where when everybody deer in the head, like we're in this new world, what a colleague of mine calls a parallel reality, where in other crises that I mentioned, the crisis happened, the flood happened, and then it was over, we recovered. The financial crisis happened and we recovered, and then it ended and we recovered. Right now, this COVID happened and we're still in it. Right. So that's the parallel reality. So we got to figure out, okay, how do we maneuver this thing while we're in it, knowing that we have no idea when the end game is going to be, but we still have to be prepared. So we put together a 4-part series webinar to teach people all of the skill sets that they need to be able to respond to this crisis and not react to it. And not just this crisis, but any crisis. I'll give you this as an example. There's a thing called change management. You can manage change, or change will manage you, right? And the thing there are three things constant in the world. You're gonna live, you're born, you're gonna die, and in between there you change, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you manage the change, you have a better outcome. So here's some examples of change. The employee who is your go-to person, you give them 80% of the work because they're just doing a great job. They come in every day, they're on time, they're doing everything they need to do. And then to acknowledge or recognize them, you say, okay, you're doing such a good job, I'm going to promote you. And now you're going to be responsible for these 10 people. Remember I said that there was a skill set that I learned from here to here that took me from here to here? Well, when you're doing a single individual function, that skill set that you were using for that function is not the same function that you need to manage people. Totally different thing. And we set our leaders up for failure when we just place them in a position and we don't give them the skills and the tools that they need to effectively manage people. So one of the things in our change management platform that we offer is helping people go through and understand what they need to do to provide their staff with. So we will do the training, or we will do the coaching, leadership development. We have programs that we put together for that. But the main thing is one of the things I believe in is self-leadership. So self-leadership means that I can't lead somebody else until I can lead myself. So one of the components of the Crisis to Confidence platform that we just launched is in self-leadership. So we are actually repurposing that. It was a live event, but we're repurposing that and then plan to have it out hopefully in August so that people can go back and take that course, because it's an evergreen course. It's something that was powerful. I'll share with you what my team said. So we were putting together the course, and we have marketing team members and graphic team members and whatever, and we were telling them, okay, we're going to put this out there, and here's what you need to do, and this is how much it's going to cost. And they were looking at us like, okay, yeah, right, really. But they sat through the course. And they said, oh my gosh, we had no idea. This stuff is powerful. Y'all didn't charge them. So those are the type of things that I want to continue doing and making a positive impact when, I don't do cookie cutter anything. So with my clients that I work with, I had a client that called me, a potential client that called me because they want to talk about the race relations issue, because I have no problem talking about that either. And this is a white firm. And I said, okay, but let me understand what it is that you're really trying to accomplish here. So I go in and we talk specifically about examples and pain points and what it is that they're trying to accomplish. And it wasn't just the race issue, but it was also effectively communicating with their team members and how their team members needed to effectively communicate with each other, including that respect component. So when we offer our services, we're going in to really do the triage. What's your temperature? What's your weight? What's your whatever? Tell me your pain, because I don't want to give you just an aspirin, right? An aspirin product for something that may be more severe. So we go down into the roots to help our clients figure out what it is that they need to resolve.
Okay, awesome. Now, so where can people find you online or on social media?
Well, our website is krjconsulting.com, and we have a Facebook page, KRJ Consulting. We have an Instagram page, KRJ Consulting. Most of the stuff right now is under Karen R. Jenkins, but we're converting everything over.
Okay, awesome. Now, one question I like to ask before we wrap up is, when you think about your journey, in which you've already given us so much wisdom, when you think about, your journey, what's a piece of wisdom or a lesson that you learned that you think, what, all entrepreneurs should learn this and understand this if they want to be successful as a business?
So the reality for somebody that's new in the world of entrepreneurship, we have this myth that, okay, I worked for a company or I have a skill. I pour concrete well, I do this well, I do that well. The myth is that when you open up business and you put that rafter out, that business is going to automatically come. Doesn't happen. But you also have to realize is that your gift, your craft, that thing that you're selling is really only about 35% of your business. That's the thing that you can do. The running of the business is 65%. And if you don't know that, then you need to go and learn it. You need to understand that there's an operations component. There's financials involved. We had a lot of businesses that lost out on the PPP loan because they didn't understand their financials and they didn't understand how to provide the required documentation because they didn't even keep track of it, right? So if you're going to be in business, we need to be in business for real. So leverage the resources. Score.org, SCORE.org is a great resource if you're just starting out. And even if you're not starting out, because they provide free or no-cost mentors or your retired people that have been executives in various companies. And then they come in and their website has a plethora of things that you can look at night. Still looking at TV, look at some of these online classes that they have that teach you about accounting, marketing, all kind of stuff. But just understanding all of the components of and knowing where to get your resources when you need them.
Awesome. Well, Karen, thank you so much for being on the interview. Thank you for sharing all the wisdom, your story. I think it is absolutely amazing. Like I said, the normal challenges you've been through, plus the personal challenges, but to still be able to develop a strong and impactful business. So thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
And that concludes another episode of the Business Talk Library. Thank you so much for tuning in. You can connect with us on any social media platform, Instagram at Business Talk Library, LinkedIn. You can follow the Business Talk Library hashtag. You can also connect with us on Facebook and YouTube, searching for Business Talk Library. If there's any topics that you would like addressed or any questions you have about your business or your career path that you would like for us to answer on the show, feel free to shoot us a note on any of those platforms and we will try our best to get to them. Remember, keep it simple.